Hello and welcome to this training video on Procovery. I'm Mark Brennan and I'm Project Director of Continuing Education Television at the Missouri Institute of Mental Health in St. Louis, Missouri. And with me today are panelists of women who are going to talk with us about the Procovery movement. To my immediate left is Barbara French, who is a Procovery facilitator, NAMI Central Ozarks affiliate out of Rolla. She is also a family member and a consumer. To her left is Glenda Ludwig, who is a facilitator coordinator for Procovery programs, also a family member and a consumer. To her left is Judith Murphy, who is a member of Jefferson City chapter of NAMI, and also Karen Jones to her left, who is president of NAMI Jefferson City, and she's also a consumer. Welcome, ladies. I appreciate your time and effort to come here and talk to us about what I consider to be this very important project. I guess where I want to start, before we get into any of the other things that we want to talk about, is just to have you tell us what Procovery is. And anyone can take that.
Procovery is a support group where we try to focus on the positive aspects instead of so much of the time in a regular support group you're talking about your past, you're talking about your problems, and Procovery is when you make up your mind to understand that your old life is never going to be yours again. And so what you do, instead of focusing on that, you focus on what you have now and what you can do with that to make yourself a productive citizen.
That sounds like a very hopeful philosophy.
We hope it is.
Why do you guys choose Procovery?
I chose Procovery because I saw Kathleen Crowley speak at a NAMI convention, and it sounded interesting, so I got the book and read it and got interested and started a group.
For those of the people that might be watching this who may not know who Kathleen Crowley is, can someone tell us about that?
She's the author of the book, The Power of Procovery.
So she is the person who actually developed the approach?
Yes.
Okay. So you were inspired by what you wrote, or what you read in her book?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Well, why we started was a little different. We heard Ms. Crowley at our NAMI annual meeting, and our affiliate won the grand prize of a whole set of Catherine Crowley's Procovery.
How neat.
Yes, it was.
So your affiliate got the information through winning a prize?
Well, we knew about Kathleen Crowley. Our affiliate is small, and we could never have afforded to get those books. And so we were just very blessed to be able to get those books and start our group.
Oh, great. So tell me how you guys got started in your individual agencies or areas.
I just asked around to some of my friends that were in NAMI that I knew were also consumers, and we started a consumer group. And we had the books provided for us, and so it was very helpful.
So it was almost like a book reading club or something like that?
It started that way.
Oh, that's neat. How about you guys?
Well, it's what happened with us. I brought it to our psych department, our hospital that has a psychiatric department, and talked to our administrator and showed her the program, the book, and she thought it would be a wonderful support group for people who came off of the psychiatric ward when they were released from the hospital. And so we are doing our Procovery in partnership with our hospital in their outpatient clinic, and with hopes that people from being in the hospital will join us. So it's a real nice collaborative group that,
it's an effort through the group?
Yes, it's an effort through the group.
I'm looking at this term for circles, and we were talking about networking that it sounds like Procovery members do, and I was intrigued by the idea of circles and networking. And so I wondered if you guys could talk to us a little bit about circles, and that's when you had talked about circles of light. And I just wanted you to help us to understand what you mean by that.
Well, we call it circle of light because that's exactly what it is. It is a circle of light. It's turning on the light. And when we put out a flyer, which Kathleen Crowley in our facilitating book shows us, we make our flyers with a light to signify that this is what will happen when you join our group.
Okay. Well, if I were to want to join your group, and you were talking with me about a circle of light, that's not only just an idea, but it's actually a group that meets? Is
Yes.
that what I'm to understand?
Yes.
So it's both an idea and an actual group that meets? Okay.
Exactly.
I understand that better now. Do you guys have anything to add about that?
Well,
Circle
our
groups?
circle is a circle of hope.
Circle of Hope.
And we particularly like the chapter of hope in the book that
Okay.
Kathleen Crowley wrote. And so, you know, I think that's the basic thing that everyone needs to move forward is they have to have hope in their heart.
Certainly. And it's interesting that each different group has picked something that illuminates or that instills this idea of hope, light and hope. It's kind of an interesting, wonderful concept, but you also make it real in the groups that you meet.
Yes.
It's very inspirational. I really like that a lot. How are your circles organized?
Well, once again, as Barbara said, we started ours with in coalition with the local hospital psychiatric unit, and we did some advertising as well. And people started calling and asking for more information, and it's just it's pretty much like you would start any support group.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And then word of mouth kind of got in there.
So in your efforts to develop the Procovery movement, talk to us about the things that you think you did well in organizing that.
I think putting out information and advertising, of course, is one of the big things that we did very well. And also having other, our local provider, mental health provider, the hospital, have information available about our group. And I think that was very positive. And I think it was the connection with our hospital and the support of our hospital was a wonderful way to get this circle going. And I think those are some of the things we did well. What do you think? Anyone else?
I believe we did well because we started out with the consumer group, because there's not very often a group that is just the consumers. And they chose to be there. They didn't have to be there, they chose to be there. And once they got started in the book, they just kept coming back for more.
So yours was more of a grassroots movement from the bottom up, and it sounds
Right.
like you guys came from the top down, or at least worked through an organizational structure to support your efforts.
Well, I think it's, no, I think it's both. I mean, it's both.
Okay.
In our area, because it is such a small rural area, we look for any opportunity to for our support groups, and we try to work with any association that has people with that addresses people with mental illness. And the fact is, of course, through our own organization, our own affiliate, we got many of our consumers to join, that wanted to join us. So ours is sort of a multifaceted type of situation.
Okay.
Because of the locale in the rural areas, you know, we have to depend on all of our resources.
Sure.
So what did I
Almost
think?
everything we do is grassroots.
Oh,
Yeah,
I bet.
absolutely. Very grassroots.
So were there things that you would have done differently?
For our circle, there is. We initially, because we were in collaboration with the stress unit at the hospital, we decided that it might be a good idea to have one of the psychologists on hand for the meetings. and that turned out not to be a good idea.
For what reason?
People were depending on them too much, not
okay.
staying in the here and now. They wanted to go back and get therapy. And she was an absolutely marvelous psychologist, but it just didn't work for the Procovery part of the program, and which is, of course, is what we wanted to do.
Sure.
Get them to move on in their life and not stay back in the past.
I was just going to say, sometimes people have some confusion around roles in situations like that. And
Well,
it sounds like maybe that was it.
That's very true. And the thing of it is that it was mixing apples with oranges, and it was somewhat very defeating, or so I say, depressing for many of our group that was in that to do without the psychologist. But we all felt, Glenda and I felt, that they were relying on someone with that profession that it could not be.
Sure.
And so we've moved on, and we all felt that we have to empower ourselves. We cannot, that is not a good way to go. So that was abandoned. That's the right way we should have gone.
Okay. How about you guys, Judith and Karen? Or was there anything that you would do differently in your startup of the Procovery circles?
Maybe advertise some more than we did. Maybe just by word of mouth, talking to people in the chapter to see who might be interested.
So talk to me generally about how the circles helped individuals.
It gave them a forum to talk about their feelings, and the fellowship, I think, of all of us coming together with a mutual problem. I think that was good.
Is that kind of your take on it as well?
I think we have had one particular individual who has been with us, who is in part of our circle, that has really stood out as what Procovery is all about. She came to us very, very ill, very isolating lady, couldn't even get out of bed. Wasn't that true, Belinda?
Yes.
And it was amazing. She could hardly speak. She was very, very ill. And she started with the Procovery. And I have never in my life seen anyone the way she blossomed. She is now even facilitating. We let other people facilitate who are becoming more and more pro-covered. And she is now facilitating, and she has joined other NAMI activities. It's miraculous, and she's teaching some classes now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I can't say enough for what Procovery does.
And how long of a period of time did that happen over?
I don't know.
About a year.
Was it a year?
That's a
And
nice
she-
chunk of time.
And she really gives the Procovery group the credit.
Yes, she does.
And talk to me a little bit about how many people are in a group.
We have anywhere from 5 to 8 regular people.
5 to 8
And
regular.
then we have some drop-ins at times.
So it's not necessarily what we call a closed group. You
No, it's not closed.
Okay. And how about you guys?
Oh, no, we are not closed. And, of course, the thing I love about Procovery is that it's a weekly program, and it's much more supportive than once a month. Much more. That's one of the wonderful things about Procovery.
Sure.
We have anywhere between 8 and 13 as a general rule.
8 and 13. Talk to us about family involvement in Procovery.
Well, I would like to say something.
Sure,
on
go
that.
ahead.
We don't have a family Procovery at the moment, but Glenda and I have been thinking about it for some time because I am a family member also. And I think it would be a wonderful thing to start, a vehicle to start this, because with the hope that the family members will recommend this to a loved one. And I think in our area that will be the next step. Of course, we may not get the family members with the people that are already in our circle, and then maybe we will. You know, a lot of times our loved ones, some of the people that we are in our circle don't have close ties to family, so that's not a thing that we can do, is get their family members involved in this. But if we start with the family members first, we might be able to have they may want their loved ones, or they may want to, the loved ones might want to join us once they find out about us.
Sure. What do you guys think?
Well, I have a sister who's a social worker,
Mhm.
and she's very interested in the Procovery movement. And she's really encouraged me to go to the meetings and everything. And I think because of her interest, it's helped me be interested as well.
Would you think that it would be an important avenue to go down to have family involved in?
Oh,
Procovery?
definitely, definitely. So it just gives you a lot more confidence.
Well, if we were to sum up for the audience what Procovery is, could someone give us a statement that really would capture what you want people to understand about Procovery?
It involves gaining control over your illness and your life and moving forward.
Okay. It also struck me, I think you had said this early on, that because of the experiences you have had, you will never be the person that you thought maybe you would be, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't be a person of quality. And it sounds like Procovery accepts and almost embraces that idea of hope and light, which I really liked, light and hope, and that there's support and understanding that you still have talents and skills that can be used and can share that with other people.
It's an acceptance of who you are now
Mm-hmm.
and what you can become, even with your illness.
Okay. And that is purely also self-supportive in the sense that it's consumer directed and consumer run. Well, does anybody have any last words for us?
Well, I think this is a wonderful thing that this will be available in Missouri.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully it will spread out throughout many of the other counties and even maybe nationwide.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be something?
It'd be great.
I appreciate you ladies coming in and sharing this information with us. I want to direct the audience who may be watching this to review the key concepts and the glossary of terms before taking your test. And if you do those things, you'll have no difficulty completing the test. I also want to make mention of calling your local NAMI representatives or checking out your community mental health center to find out whether or not there's a Procovery group meeting in your area. Thank you and good health.